Hey guys.
We have wanted to kind of put our testimonies out there so you guys kind of know where we're coming from, and we kind of decided that it would probably be one really long video if we just told our testimonies. So we've kind of broken it up into like 5 kind of chunks of our life, and we've come up with questions to kind of like guide what we're saying, and that way I guess like people could kind of do this video too if you wanted to, but we're just gonna kind of talk about our life. Today we're going to start when start at the beginning. That's where you're supposed to start.
Yes,
so we're gonna kind of talk about our childhood, like before school kind of thing, like, which obviously we were little so we don't really remember it that well, but just kind of like what was going on in our life at that time. So the first thing that we're gonna start off with is just saying where we were born. So Chloe, where were you born?
I was born in Kitchener, Ontario on September 20th, 1993.
And I was also born in Kitchener. I didn't live there, but I was born in the hospital in Kitchener on February 10th, 1995. Number 2 is what kind of home were you born into? Like, kind of like your family life and that kind of thing.
So I was raised in a home with one older brother and then like 2 parents. And it was, it wasn't the worst, but like my parents did struggle with like alcoholism, so that had a big effect on my childhood.
I was kind of the opposite end. I had 2 older siblings, a brother and a sister, and a younger brother, and like we went to church every Sunday. I went to Sunday school, all of that. So I kind of like grew up in the church. So like we've totally experienced different childhoods, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
And it's kind of brought us together as friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 3 is, who were your role models?
Probably like the people that I kind of looked up to the most were like my parents and my older sister, and like just like people like that. Like I had a lot of older cousins and stuff, and like those are the people who I really like looked up to and was like, I like these people, they're cool, they're a role model in my life.
Okay, and I kind of like am in the same boat. Like I looked up to my brother because he was a good kid and he was always looking out for me, and I was just really happy with him as a person, so I looked up to him. Okay, number 4 is, what Christian influences or ties did you have?
Well, as I've kind of said, I grew up in the church, so like there's a lot. There's like pastors and Sunday school teachers and like my family. I had my friends from church and stuff like that. So I had a lot of Christian influences in my life.
And I kind of, like, I didn't really have Christian, like I had Catholic, like I went to a Catholic church, but it wasn't really the same.
Did that kind of like Christian influence or lack of Christian influence have an effect on your life at that point?
I guess mine did, because it influenced those around me. Like, the lack of Christian influences influenced people who I lived with and that, and then I don't know, I kind of thought God was real, but like I was pretty young, so I didn't really bother much. I was like, okay, he's just this faraway guy in the sky, and I can't talk to him. It has to be like a priest or the Pope or whatever. So, yeah.
And I don't think that it really influenced my life. Like, I mean, it did. Like, I believed in God and stuff, but I don't think that, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'm just gonna say, like, it didn't really have an influence on my life, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Like, I just didn't really live my life any differently because of the Christian influences.
What are the highs and lows of this time of your life?
There wasn't, when I was like really young, I don't think that there was any real lows that happened to me. Like, I don't really remember much happening. Like, I had my grandparents, all of them, until I was like into my teens, and like nothing, like not death or anything, like really affected me that much when I was growing up. I just kind of remember my childhood before school as just being a really fun time, playing with my brother, and yeah, just loving life.
Like, when I was really young, I don't know if I was in school or not, like I don't really remember, but he was my brother's best friend and my best friend, and he passed away because of laryngitis or meningitis or something like that. I always get those two confused. But he passed away and he was 6, so that was something that definitely affected me. Like I was saying before the video got cut off, I put up walls and I kind of like shut people out, because when this happened, I don't know, I just felt like if I was gonna trust anyone again, that I would get my heart broken and they would get like taken away from me. So I felt like, oh, well, like I should probably not befriend anyone then. And then shortly after that, I think it was like in the fall actually of the next year or so. My grandpa committed suicide, and like I had been quite close with him, and like, you know, I didn't want to trust anyone. So I thought, well, he's my grandpa, like he can't just walk out and leave. So I thought that I was safe with him, so I trusted him, and then he committed suicide, which I'm not like trying to make him look like the bad guy or anything, because it's not like that at all. But that kind of made me build up, like that like closed my wall and like finished all my walls that I'd built around myself, and then I kind of just like was quiet, because my family, they like fell apart when that happened, and everyone kind of just went their own way. So yeah.
And to finish off this this section of our testimony, we're just going to talk about what we learned from this time in our life.
I guess, like, to be brutally honest, I learned something that wasn't entirely true, which is if you let people in, they leave. That's kind of what I learned, and I'm not going to say, like, you know, I learned, oh, like, God is good, because, like, I didn't know him, and that happened to me at that point in my life, and that's where I was, so,
yeah.
to be honest.
And for me, I'll be honest, too, what I learned wasn't really true, and I think that the biggest thing that I took away from my childhood and like my preschool life was that being a Christian meant you went to church, and like that was pretty much it. I learned that Christianity was just like you accept Jesus and you're a Christian and you go to heaven. Like that's what I learned. I didn't learn about the relationship that you have with God. But yeah, so that's what we learned from our childhood. Do you want to finish?
See you in elementary school.